First, a quote from the Theological Dictionary of the New Testament article on the word apostolos. The rabbi summed up this basis of the shaliach, the Hebrew for agent, in the frequently quoted statement, "The one sent by a man is as the man himself." That is, the shaliach is as good as the sender in all that he says and does in execution of his commission. The principle goes back to the Semitic law of the messenger as presupposed in the Old Testament. Here, the messenger fully represents in his person the one who sends him, usually the king. The honor which belongs and is to be paid to his Lord is paid to him, the one sent. We see this in the case of David and Abigail in 1 Samuel chapter 25. The noted scholar Dr. Caird, in his book The Language and Imagery of the Bible, called this practice of treating the agent as though he were the principal of the greatest importance for New Testament Christology. This principle of agency is seen the most throughout the writings of John, when he repeatedly describes the Son as the one sent, that is, commissioned by his God and Father, who is always another person, since no one can send himself. In John 5, verse 30, Jesus says, "I can do nothing on my own. I judge only as I hear, and my judgment is just, because I do not seek my own will, but the will of him who sent me." On this verse, the IVP Bible Background Commentary to the New Testament says that Jesus is thus a faithful shaliach or agent. Jewish law taught that the man's agent was as a man himself, backed by his full authority, to the extent that the agent faithfully represented him. And the Oxford Handbook of the Reception History of the Bible adds, Jesus' opponents interpret his claims, like John 10:30, "The Father and I are one," as a direct challenge to Jewish monotheism, but he responds that, as God's emissary and obedient Son, they are not incompatible with belief in the one God, since Jesus only does what the Father has commissioned him to do. A repeated stress in these and other passages on the sending of Jesus indicates that his depiction as God's authorized envoy is to be explained against the background of Jewish notions of agency. You will also note that in John 5, verse 30, the Son says, "I do not seek my own will, but the will of him who sent me." Notice there are two wills here, therefore two different persons. Similarly, Luke 22, verse 42, the Son praying to his Father says, "If you are willing, take this cup from me, yet not my will, but your will be done." Again, the point is there are not only two wills here, but the one will of the person of the Son wants something different from the will of the person of his God and Father. And then the person of the Son submits eventually to the will of the Father, that is God. Two wills, two different persons. So it would be short-sighted to the point of exegetical suicide to confuse the one sent, the agent, with his sender, the principal.